Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, folks. Michael Zuber, one rental at a time. And yes, I know my camera is flickering. We've tried everything. I don't know what's going on this morning. Sorry. We're going to keep going forward. How you doing, Jonathan?
I'm doing great, Michael. How are you?
Thank you for the opportunity in round one. A lot of people need to see what's going on in Sioux Falls. Look for that raise. Again, if you want to see that, there's a link in the first video. But round two, you are looking at something for your personal portfolio, which I thought was really interesting. And that is basically it's a repositioning opportunity. And as I shared at the tail end of episode one, I'm doing kind of the same thing, right? I'm looking to take assets that I've collected over the years and see which ones I can dust off and find a better use for. So, it's hard to make money. It's hard to find good deals today. So sometimes you got to get a little creative. So why don't you talk about what you found and I'll do the same.
Yeah. So as you said, buying straight multifamily is tough these days, especially, I mean, you can buy it, but you're going to have to pay, you're gonna have to pay a lot for it because there's so much money chasing deals. And a lot of that money is not smart money.
It's just dumb money.
It's dumb money. It's hot money. It's going after whatever is the latest thing. And there's a lot of people who are really, really good at raising money and creating a FOMO environment and raising, tons and tons of money for deals. And then they've got to find deals to buy. Right. And it's kind of, for me, putting the cart before the horse, right? You're figuring out where to put the money rather than looking for deals that are attractive and then trying to get the money. So in any event, we all know that this is tough. So that means that you have to be creative, right? And there are a number of different ways in which I'm trying to be creative. As we discussed in the last episode or today's first video.
Video one, yep.
Video one. That's the easy way to say it. Video one. I'm involved in new construction and would like to be more involved in new construction. I think that's one way to find value. Another way to find value is to look in markets where people are not looking. And this is one reason why I have become very interested in upstate New York markets, because there are a lot of attractive markets. They're not explosively growing, but they're affluent. They have a housing crisis like everyone else. They need new housing. And there are opportunities there to make money on, a buy and hold strategy or, value add strategy or new build, right? So there are a lot, but it's just not the same kind of like scorched earth, picked over kind of scramble for assets that you see in the Southeast markets where the population growth is exploding and everybody thinks that they need to be in those markets. You're talking about competition with a couple of other investors, right? Not literally hundreds of investors, as you might have with some of the assets down south that I look at, but don't even bother bidding on because I just know there's no.
Yeah.
So along the way of thinking about this, and there's the other thing, which is sort of looking at doing creative stuff.
Yeah.
There is on my way up to our house upstate, we literally pretty much have to pass by a certain hotel that, it's just right on the road to our house. And it is in a beautiful location over just like unimpeded views of one of the lakes. It's just a spectacular sight. And we pass by it all the time. And the hotel is we always sort of made fun of the hotel because it's sort of like old and tired and, like kind of bad branding and just the whole thing is outdated. And so, but the location is amazing. And so just drive by this thing all the time. And I was on Crexy a couple of weeks ago and the thing popped up for sale. And I noticed that not only was it for sale, but it had been like languishing on the market and it had gone through price cut after price cut after price cut. To the point where I thought, this could be interesting.
This could be interesting.
So my first thought was, since we were having a lot of success with Airbnb up there, I thought, well, maybe we could do this and just turn it into, remodel it and turn it into Airbnbs. And then I realized, there's a lot of units here, a lot of rooms, right? And you'd wind up, because you've had so many turns, right? You'd wind up actually needing like a cleaning staff rather than having to like contract it out to a cleaning company. And then once you do that, you're running a hotel, right? So you might as well just run the hotel as a hotel. So I brought in some hotel guys. We're actually meeting today. We've finally sort of got the background data that we need. I went to view the hotel with the brokers. I mean, just amazing.
Yeah, you sent me a
Amazing
couple
location.
pictures. It was like, wow. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the location is amazing, and it comes with some land that you can develop more on. It's just a really, really interesting opportunity. So
Very cool.
meeting with my hotel kind of advisory crew today about what we think it's worth and where we think we can take it, what it's worth now and what it'll be worth when we're done with it. And so very excited about that. I mean, this would be a really, really cool project to take on. I think there's a lot of potential upside here. So,
I just love the fact that, what I see going on today in kind of the multifamily space, especially regions, there's more and more people going the same way. To me, it's kind of like the champagne bottle, right? You put your thumb on the top, you just keep shaking it. Eventually the pressure is going to build and what's going to happen. Yeah. I know what's going to happen to that multifamily game. When is the only question. I don't know how many times you can shake the bottle before it explodes. So I just love the fact that both you and I are like, nope, we are not going there. We're going to go try to create value somewhere else. So, one of the things that I'm doing again in my portfolio is I had a city lot, great part of town. When the first house was built, it was built on the back and it's got, a huge front yard, right? And it's on a quarter. So there's 2 streets, easy parking, all of that. So the first thing I'm doing, I'm building an ADU unit, right? A mother-in-law unit, right? That's in the works. That seems to be going well. I kind of scoped it out. It'll be a great return for me. So then I went through my portfolio of assets I picked up during the crash. And one of the properties I picked up on, 2 houses, 1 lot, is actually got the reverse. There's a huge backyard. It's almost an acre of land. So I'm talking with a guy, an architect and designer today, and we're talking about doing 10, maybe 12 homes, probably going to be 10. So again, these are just things I'm looking at because, I still got money to put to work. I'm looking to get outsized return, and I will not go where everybody else is. It's just, I can't do it. Right. Everybody goes Airbnb, not going there. Everybody goes syndication, not go. It's just, I've seen what happened last time. It's like a hot stove. I don't know when it's going to burn you, but I know it will burn you. So I just like it that we see the world the same way.
Yeah. I mean, you really doing what everybody else is doing is not the way to make.
It feels good in the moment. Well, in the moment, it feels good. But
I'll correct that. You can make money if you time it just right. You get in, you get out. Like as long as there's still other
the greater fool, right? Yeah,
exactly. I mean, as long as there are other people who are willing to
dumb money
to buy
money.
The thing, and they may get lucky too. I mean, these things can go on for a while. And everybody looks smart, and you and I look dumb,
That's
right?
Okay.
And but then the music does stop, and so it's. The only thing is you don't know how long the music is going to last. So that's why if you're going to get in, you really have to be thinking about your exits, your downside protection, right? And if you start thinking about a lot of that, the deals don't look so good, right? So it becomes very hard to protect yourself on the downside when you're in like a hot, frenzied market, right?
Yeah.
So and I'll tell you one other thing that is scaring me a little bit, which is I'm starting to see a lot of articles about why this is not a bubble.
Yeah, I started seeing that too.
Right. About, especially for the single family housing. But it's like, house prices are up 18% year over year. It's the most in 47 years, but it's not a bubble because this is why they're going up. And and if you go back, I mean, just for fun, you should go back and look at what people were saying in 2008.
I have.
After the crash, even after the bubble collapsed, there were people out there screaming from the rooftops that this was not a bubble.
Yeah.
Right. It wasn't a bubble. I don't know what it was, something other than a bubble.
By the dip.
Definitely wasn't a bubble. And it's going to bounce back anytime. And like, the real estate industry will be out there, the brokerage industry will be out there pumping this narrative of it's not a bubble. And the National Association of Realtors in particular, the worst. These guys are just like
it's anybody that only has one play, right? The gold bugs, gold's always a good option. This is always anybody who goes only got one trick, I'm not interested in listening to. But I can tell you right now, I think we've shared this before. I see the same habits just by a different name actually in multifamily that I saw in single family. Bad lending structures getting worse, people adjusting, basically people beating up their spreadsheets to get the number they want. And that is not a recipe for long-term success.
I mean, listen, so I'll tell you what I'm seeing in some specifics, right? So one thing I'm seeing is syndicators they're over raising so that they can pay investors back with their own money. Right.
Oh,
Make the preferred return, so they have the money to make the preferred return while they're doing their value add.
You know what, Jonathan? I want this to be episode number 3. Episode number 1 was your building in Sioux Falls. Episode number 2 is us repositioning. Episode number 3 will be warning signs that you're seeing. Let's keep that to start number 3.
All right.
Okay.
Got it.
Thanks, Jonathan.
Mm-hmm.